This is just an excerpt from a full episode. If you enjoyed what you hear here, go check out other full episodes, either on YouTube or as part of the podcast feed. Enjoy! Moving over to Micronation news. 50 years since declaring its sovereignty from the rest of the country, one of Australia's most well-known micronations is to be dissolved. The Principality of Hutt River will once again become part of the Commonwealth of Australia, according to Royal Hutt River Legion Major Richard Andana Barton. Of the roughly 100 self-declared independent entities around the world, about a third of these can be found in Australia. I suppose they found a semantic loophole to the old racist adage, if you don't like it, leave. They technically aren't in Australia anymore. Checkmate, racists! Though, as far as I know, it is always white people trying to start their own countries, presumably as a throwback to their colonial roots. After all, renaming places as other places is what white people have done best since the dawn of time. While a lot of countries have sought independence through civil war, Leonard Casley set up the legally unrecognised independent state of 75 square kilometre property in Western Australia's Midwest region following a disagreement over wheat production quotas in 1970. A real testament to the Australian tradition of throwing off the shackles of government oppression, or it would be if it didn't mean that they were trying to leave the nation. While it has never been recognised by the state or Commonwealth governments, the Principality of Hutt River received a letter from Queen Elizabeth II in 2016 on its 46th anniversary. Just like my grandfather when he turned 100, which coincidentally made him the independent nation of Frank. It is acknowledged on Google Maps as a tourist attraction and has its own postage stamps and currency, about 10,000 non-resident citizens, and visitors got a stamp on their passports as proof of their travels. But they beat mainland Australia to having a treaty with the Indigenous landowners. So there's that going for them. Though, like all things this micronation did, I suspect it was just an attempt to get recognition from one entity to build their case as a sovereign nation, which puts it on par with Australia's attempt to recognise and incorporate the Indigenous culture. So, 1-1. On December 2nd, 1977, the Principality declared war on Australia, until Prince Leonard notified authorities of the cessation of hostilities several days later. Although the declaration was officially filed, it was definitely a war Australians didn't know that they were a part of, effectively making it a non-war war like Iraq. And the Principality is lucky there's no oil there, or else they may still have peacekeeping troops within the region, not at war, nor committing war crimes in the region to this day. Prince Leonard's fight for independence, regardless of its legality, became a symbol of inspiration for all those who championed for less government intervention and the doing away with bureaucracy in a country built on the concept of a fair go. Or, as it has come to be known recently, the Go Principle. Seems like a bad time to rejoin Australia if I'm honest. What? With escalating coronavirus cases, mass unemployment, and an ever-increasing power grab from reject store Lex Luthor, Peter Dutton. As Dutton has said, the Australian Services Directorate powers will be increased to be able to spy on Australian citizens. The everything that you claim not to be when you're in the Principality. The very thing that caused us to feel sympathy with News Corp journalist Annika Smethurst after the AFP raided her home on June 2019 over a news report suggesting the Home Affairs Department was seeking power for the Signals Directorate to spy on Australians. How dare you put us in a position to feel bad for a News Corp journalist, even if they were reporting the truth for once? At the time, Dutton had claimed the story was nonsense despite publicly confirming its substance, and then raided a journalist's home because they dared to talk about it in a not at all precedent-setting show of behaviour shift. But this quick look at the Signals Directorate website shows their motto is reveal their secrets, protect our own. Which they seem to think is a statement of trust, not paranoia. It does sound inclusive, but they have lowered the threshold of who there is from outside of Australia to outside the Signals Directorate office. But Dutton has confirmed Australia could now spy on its own citizens. After all, they need to know who's planning on having sex with patients in quarantine. It is of the utmost importance. It seems like the right time to have stayed as a micronation if you're asking me. But what do I know? I've never seceded before.